Keisha.
Hi.
How are you doing this week?
I mean, alright, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Last week, like, my husband and I are just, like, still, like, kind of rocky, I guess.
Can you explain that to me a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, just everything that's happened, it's just kind of been, like, really hard to, I don't know, like, figure out, like, how to work together again, and, like, there's just, like, a lot of stuff that I don't feel like he understands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I try to explain to him, but I don't like talking about it. So then I don't feel like I want to talk about it, but then he, like, wants to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it. And then when I try to explain it, he doesn't really understand. And so, like, we got into a fight about that. So, yeah. I don't know.
So I know you mentioned before, after the whole incident that happened, you've definitely been feeling pressured a little bit, maybe a little bit uncomfortable with that physical contact side of your marriage. Am I right in assuming that?
Yeah, that's been a struggle too.
Okay. So do you feel like that's where the fights are stemming from? Or where he doesn't understand how you're feeling?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like you're trying to explain to him that you don't feel comfortable with that right now? And he just doesn't understand? Or could you just explain that a little?
Yeah. I guess I don't like talking about it like that much. And, like, he, like, tries to, like, get me to talk about it, or, like, tries to, like, ask me questions, and I just, like, kind of shut him out, I guess. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And then, like, every once in a while when I try to, like, explain it, or, like, try to, like, say, like, just, like, one thing about it, then he, like, acts like he doesn't understand. Or, like, he'll, like, say something, and then I'm like, no, that's not right. And I just, like, don't feel like explaining the whole thing again. So then I just stop talking about it.
Okay. Is there anything else that's been going on this past week that you feel is notable? How have you been feeling as far as having some motivation coming back and maybe being a little more active?
Kind of like the same.
The same? Okay. Well, I know last week we talked about some grounding methods, and I explained to you, there are ways to kind of put yourself back into the moment when you feel like you're experiencing a flashback or an intense emotion, to put yourself back in that moment and to remind yourself that you're okay. And I know I gave you some examples of, different things that you can do. So have you explored that at all this past week?
A little bit. I did like the deep breathing thing.
Okay.
I did that like maybe like 4 or 5 times probably.
Okay. So when did you find yourself doing that?
Just like when like I was like feeling like really overwhelmed. I think like when like all the emotions just kind of like came back. I didn't really know how to deal with it. I would use like the deep breathing.
Okay. So do you feel like it was helpful at all? I mean, what did it make you feel?
I think it like helped me to like stop my racing thoughts a little bit. Like it took a while. Like you said before, like you have to like do it for like a good while before it actually works.
Yeah.
So I had to like continually tell myself that because I like wanted to work like instantly and it didn't, which was obnoxious. But I think after I like did it for like 5 or 6 minutes, like it helped me to like stop my thoughts, I guess.
Okay. So if you don't mind, do you want to practice that a little bit right now? Just to kind of, let yourself, be in a safe space and remind yourself that, even though you don't feel like it's working maybe the first or second or third or fifth or seventh time, eventually it's going to bring you back to reality, back to being in a safe space.
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. So let's sit up straight and close our eyes. And I just want you to take a slow, deep breath and fill your tummy. And let it out slowly. And again, take another deep breath. Make sure it's slow. Filling up your lungs, your diaphragm. Notice any tension that you might have in your shoulders, chest. And as you breathe out, just let that go. Let the tension subside. Think about a safe place, a happy memory. And then slowly, whenever you're ready, you can come back to the room. So how do you feel after doing that?
I feel like a little calmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you feel like it's definitely helping you when you feel like you have a panic attack coming on maybe, or maybe some sort of nightmare or vision of maybe what you experienced. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've been practicing and that that's been helping you, and I encourage you to be patient with the process because, nobody accomplishes anything the first time they try it, so I'm proud of you for trying and for giving it your best effort. I would encourage you to continue to do that, and hopefully it will help you, even when you're having these fights with your husband, to kind of just take a moment to recenter and rethink and not get overly frustrated.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem.
Mm-hmm. So I know something that we talked about last week as well was, reshaping the way that you think about what happened to you. And I know it's really hard to think of it as a positive thing, as something good, or something good could come out of it. But I definitely encouraged you last week to try to think about that, and I wanted to ask you in this week's session, do you think that you've identified anything that's positive that could come from what happened to you and from your story?
Well, I mean, I haven't really done anything about it, but I think I was on Facebook the other day, and I saw something that one of my friends from high school went through something similar, or it sounded like she might have from the way that she wrote the post on her wall or whatever. So it just kind of started getting me thinking maybe I could we could talk about that, because she'll would know what it was like, unlike my husband who doesn't know, or my sister who doesn't know. So I thought about maybe reaching out to her and talking to her about it. I haven't done anything about it yet, because that really freaks me out still.
Okay.
But I started thinking that, I guess.
Okay.
That that might be a possibility.
Yeah, I definitely think finding somebody who's gone through something similar would be helpful. Do you feel like you'd be ready at some point to talk about it with her, to maybe put it out there in the open to somebody else?
I mean, eventually.
Okay.
Not tomorrow or today, but I mean, maybe down the road.
Okay. So do you think that can you see anything positive coming from maybe sharing your story with somebody else?
I mean, it could be. Maybe just for extra support for them. Maybe you're not you're not the only person, someone actually gets it.
Do you feel like it would be helpful in that way for you as well, not just for her?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that.
Okay. Well, I think that's definitely something that we should continue to look into, and that I would challenge you to keep working on, is, maybe get into contact with your friend this next week, and message her and ask her if she has time to meet. Would you feel comfortable doing that at some point this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to meet.
Okay.
Or not. Maybe I'll call her.
Okay. Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, because going out is still hard.
I understand that. Maybe next week we can talk about how that felt, or if you were able to get in contact with her.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for meeting with me today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.